how's it going? This is the Corsair Virtuoso Max. This is a premium headset that costs $329, and I really want to talk about it. This is commanding a very high price. The thing is, right now, there is such good headphones in the $200 to $230 range, so I'm expecting a lot out of this. So let's just get right into it. What really does not disappoint, first of all, is the build. This is among the best built headsets that I have, and again, at this price point, I am starting to expect that. You're getting a mostly metal build, like on the ear cups itself, and these volume knobs. Let me talk about these for a little bit. They feel incredibly satisfying to rotate, and there's one on each ear cup. There's one on the left, and one on the right. And you can set this up in the Corsair IQ app. By default, and this is what I found to be the best, is the left side is volume, and on the right side is Bluetooth volume. And of course, I'll talk about Bluetooth a little bit later on. And it's being suspended by all metal here. And I like that the Corsair logo is polished, so it is shinier. And then this portion that actually suspends the ear cups too has a taper where it is also polished and shiny. So nice attention to detail. Even around the headband area is all metal. This Corsair logo is made out of metal. And then as you get to the headband itself, it's a faux protein leather. It's not real leather. That's not typically used that much anymore. It doesn't really bother me. And the inside, it's really plush. And there is some stitching on the inside of the headband. So now let's look at the ear pads themselves. It's a fabric, so we'll have to see how this does long term. And it is removable fairly easily. And one thing I like, looking inside this, there is some treatment for acoustics inside here. This sponge here and this covering on top of the driver, these are seemingly here to help with the actual overall sound profile of this headset. And of course, I'm going to get there. But yeah, the ear cups are a nice fabric. But this portion of the ear cups is made out of a plastic. It's a fairly high quality plastic, though it doesn't really bother me. Most of the times your hands are going to be touching these volume knobs and the back of the ear cup itself. So not a problem for me. Overall, the build design is incredible. The only issue, though, is once you take off the head cup, it's a little bit difficult to put back on. There we go. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the controls. The power is a switch, and I always love to see this. It just makes it so much easier than having to press and hold. So it's in the middle position right now, meaning that it's on, and I just turn it on, and that's why you see the lights flash like this. And when it's connected, it turns green. And on the receiver, it turns white, indicating that you have a connection. And so far, the connection has been smooth, without any loss throughout the day, and that's not something I can say about all gaming headsets. Anyway, flicking it upwards turns it off, and you get an indication noting that it's turning off by flashing red to the RGB turning off. When you flick it down to the bottom and press and hold it, it turns on Bluetooth pairing, and if you're already paired to a device, it remains paired, and I haven't noticed any loss in quality with using wired mode while also using Bluetooth. And yes, there is simultaneous Bluetooth pairing, and it seems like it only supports Bluetooth AAC. I would have liked to see something like Bluetooth Low Energy, which would just pair better with newer Windows laptops, which are now starting to support LE. But anyway, overall, Bluetooth quality was excellent. One thing that I've noticed, though, is that the EQ on the Corsair software doesn't work with Bluetooth, only with PC audio. Just interesting to note, and I'm jumping ahead between the software and sound quality. I'll come back to all of that later on, but just since I'm talking about the Bluetooth, I might as well mention that. And then here is the mic. There is a mute button on the actual microphone itself, and it is removable, and it connects via USB Type-C, and it is fairly... One thing I don't like, though, and I do like to see this in most of the headsets that I use, is being able to have it flip up and down. But if you don't want the microphone, you'll just have to take it on or off or rely on the mute switch on the microphone. And on the right side, this controls noise canceling. Yes, this headphone does support noise canceling and a transparency mode. I'm not going to say it's as good as something as the AirPods, but it works pretty well. So I'll start off with noise canceling first. So right now I'm running Shadow of the Tomb Raider on this Legion 7, and the fans are on highest performance mode. I can barely hear it, even if at all. So the noise canceling does a good job, and I'm not able to hear any type of hissing or any type of feedback sound with noise canceling like you would find on some other headphones. So really good stuff right here. And if you press it and hold it again, you get transparency. and now I can actually hear my surroundings around me. And this works really well too. I don't think everyone needs transparency on their gaming headset, but it is nice to have if you do need it. And then pressing and holding it again turns everything off. Moving on. So here's something else I really like. The play and pause button is also a switch. So you press it to pause, and then you can flick it up and down to go forward or go back a track. The controls are really nicely implemented, very easy to use, probably among the best out there. Simple controls make able to do a lot on the headset itself. All right, so in case you're interested how the mic sound, this is it. This is a microphone test of the Corsair Virtuoso Max. What I did initially when I tested it out, my voice is clipping like crazy. So in the Windows settings, I had to go in to the microphone settings and lower the gain down to like 36%. And once I did that, it sounded much better. I'm really happy with the quality of this microphone. All right, so next I want to get into the sound quality. And this is in many ways the most important part of a headset. So first of all, the moment you get this headset, you're going to have to download Corsair's IQ software. Before that, I just tested it and I wasn't too thrilled about it. It just wasn't a good experience. But then after I updated everything and restarted Windows a few times, I found the sound to be really good. I mean, if you purely care about audio quality, nothing is going to touch these. These are the Odyssey Maxwells, and these have 90mm planar magnetic drivers. They're heavy. Some find them uncomfortable. I got used to them. They don't bother me at all anymore. But these sound a good amount better at only $299. Also, but this probably isn't a fair comparison. This is the Turtle Beach Atlas Air, and this is an open back headphone. So you essentially have noise transparency mode on all the time. So you're able to hear all of your surroundings. Sometimes a good thing, but for gaming laptops, and if you have a louder desktop, it's probably not going to be suitable. You're going to find yourself having to crank up the volume much higher than you would typically like, and it's a massive headphone. It looks gigantic on my head, so may not be suitable for every situation. On top of that, these headphones don't get as loud, not loud enough for everyone out there. So that's kind of why I don't think it's fair to compare these, even though these are $180. Bass still is overpronounced. I created my own EQ just for what suits me. I like a more natural profile. I grew up playing a lot of instruments and stuff. I used to produce music just for fun, not professionally or anything. But what's important to me is if I mix something, I want it to sound the same everywhere else. Because of that, my ears got very accustomed to very neutral profiles, and especially more recently following the Harman curve. And I don't have any graphs on it, but I feel like this is going to be really close, but with a bump up on the bass, maybe a bit recessed on the mids, and the highs might be fairly neutral. And overall, the entire sound is clean, really balanced. Nothing really shouts out to me except for the bass, but thankfully this takes very well to EQ. And in Corsair's IQ software, you can do that. Unfortunately, though, it does not save to the headset. It's limited to the IQ software itself. While you can save profiles for like your RGB and some other functions, the EQ seems to be locked only to using the IQ software. So could be a big deal for some people. And when it comes to soundstage, this does a pretty good job. I was playing some Overwatch and I played some Jedi Fallen Order just to test out this headphone. It did a good job of making me feel like I'm in the game, where sound effects are not coming from headphones that are rigged really close to my ears, but all around. I still don't think it's the best, and I think overall sound signature as well too. I think the ROG Delta does sound better with these titanium coated drivers, and they're also 50mm along with the Virtuoso. And I forgot to mention, these are using graphene drivers similar to what the Astro A50 used, and these new Alienware Pro headphones that I do want to check out at some point. But overall, I think that this is a better package in terms of sound. The sound stage is so much wider on this, where it almost sounds like I'm listening to a surround system, even though this only supports 2 channels. This does support 8 channels in the Windows settings, but I'm not really, I wasn't really able to get much of a surround sound experience with it. I did to an extent, but not as good as what the competition is offering out there at a lower price point. But overall, a lot of these other headsets that I've used, except for the Astro A50 and the Atlas Airs, and also the Maxwells, They're not very neutral, so I find myself having to tweak them a lot. This RG Delta 2s were incredibly sibilant. I don't want to spend too much time comparing it to all these headsets I have, and I didn't even show them all. I have a whole bunch. At some point, I want to do a gigantic video comparing all of them so you could just make a decision. So, but this video, I want to focus more on the Corsair. So the thing is, what I will say, and this will kind of also be the conclusion, I didn't talk about comfort yet. These are incredibly comfortable to wear. I wore them for like 4 hours today and didn't even notice them. The build quality is probably better than anything else I've used in this price class. The microphone is above average, and the fact that you have noise cancellation and transparency could be a win for some people. If you live in the Corsair ecosystem and you just want the best that they offer, this is it, and I feel like it is competitive compared to everything else out there, but if you did want the best of the best in terms of any one particular category, and there's so many other options out there, but one thing I really like about the Corsair Virtuoso Max is it doesn't fail at anything. It excels in everything, actually, but it might not be the best in one particular thing. But if you are looking for other options out there, I do want to do a separate video where I'm comparing all the different headsets I have. I didn't even show them all here, but like I said, that's going to be in a separate video. So I think I'm just going to leave it for here. This is not exactly a full long-term review. This is just a detailed first look. So if you want to see a full review on this, if you want to see how I feel about it after a few weeks or something, leave a comment down below. Like this video. If you want to see more of this kind of stuff, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Bye.